Welcome to the talk on improving cognitive models for syllogistic reasoning. The paper was written at the Cognitive Computation Lab of the University of Freiburg by Marco Ragni and Jonas Bischofberger, which is me, who is also presenting now the results. So let us get into it. We approach the field of syllogistic reasoning via cognitive models. So just as a short introduction, a syllogism looks like this on the slide. We have two premises and a conclusion. They are all of the form of categorical propositions, which have one of the four syllogistic quantifiers, which are all some no and some not. And also the premises are have to share one term, and the conclusion relates the two non-shared terms. So usually you replace the concrete terms like artist and barkeeper by abstract terms like A, B, and C. So that way we isolate the structural properties of the syllogism, and we get a nice finite set of input items and conclusions that can be drawn from these items. Now, the conclusion given in this example, some ARC as given to all ARB and some BRC, is commonly given in experiments, but it is actually false. So obviously, perfect logical deduction is not generally how human reasoning works. And the question remains, what else is? So, of course, there are different psychological theories that approach this question. And there are at least 12 psychological theories that have been applied to syllogistic reasoning. But there was a meta-analysis a few years ago which found that no theory is free of flaws, so there's none of them universally accepted. But there's a problem with their evaluation. So they, and also others, evaluated the theories based on static sets of predictions. So each theory was associated with a set of predictions, but actually the prediction process that most theories propose is dynamic and can be adapted to an individual reasoner. So for that reason, what we did is we tried to turn those theories into formal algorithmic models, prediction models, which generate predictions to syllogisms. And we also implemented them and evaluated them against experimental data. And these implementations can also contain parameters which can be fitted to individual reasoners. So that way we wanted to unveil and also to improve the theory's predictive capabilities. So, and also the models have been released under the link shown on the slide. So the theories we implemented include those four heuristic theories: atmosphere, matching, illicit conversion, and PHM. Also, for the logic-based theories, we have psychop, and we have two model-based theories, which are mental models, which include a classical implementation and the more recent M-reasoner, and also the verbal models theory. Our requirements for the models are as follows. The task we modeled is generating exactly one response to any of the 64 types of syllogisms. So it's 9 responses that can be generated. It's either one of the 8 conclusions or the special response, nothing follows. And also going from the description of the theories to a formal prediction model is typically not a trivial step. So you have to make additional assumptions and extend some of the theories. And the way we approach this is that we try to make these extensions as natural and organic as possible. So we try to remain faithful to the original theory. And our way to test that is that we reproduce those predictions that were published for these theories. Okay, as an example, we have here the atmosphere theory, which is as simple as it can be. It only proposes one heuristic, which proposes a quantifier of the conclusion from the quantifiers of the premises according to the rules on the slide. And because you only get a quantifier that way, we also need a mechanism to, for example, if you conclude that the quantifier of the conclusion is sum, then it can either be some ARC or some CIA, and atmosphere does not tell which one is preferred. So in that case, we generate both of them as tentative conclusions, and then in the response, we choose uniformly among them. And that's what we do for every theory that generates more than one conclusion. The next one that I want to show is the probabilistic heuristic model, which derives multiple heuristics from a probabilistic reasoning approach. And so we have a min heuristic and attachment that generates a few conclusions. So it can be one or more. And then we have our first parameter, which is p end, which tells whether or not p entailment takes place after this step. So p entailment means probabilistic entailment. For example, if you have some ARC, then a probabilistic entailment of that would be that also some A are not C, which is not true in normal logical reasoning, but it is true for probabilistic entailment. Then we have 4 additional parameters inside the max heuristic, which is a confidence mechanism that tells something about how confident the reasoner is about the conclusions he generated, depending on some features of the syllogism. So the last one I want to show is mReasoner, which is a more complex model, which uses both heuristics and mental models. So mental models are representations of situations in which the syllogism is true. So for example, if you have all A are B, then a mental model of that would be a situation with 2 entities where both entities have the quality of A and the quality of B, for example. So mReasoner encodes such a mental model of the syllogism. It also draws conclusions already from those from the syllogism heuristically. And then after an evaluation step, we have the first parameter p lambda, which tells whether the reasoner looks for counterexamples to the conclusions he generated or not. So you can imagine that some reasoners will jump to the conclusion and then respond with that conclusion, while more careful reasoners may check their conclusions first. So for those reasoners, we also have here, when we found a counterexample, we have the second parameter, p omega, which tells whether a refuted conclusion is weakened or discarded completely. And mReasoner also has 2 additional parameters within the encoding mechanism, which makes 4 parameters overall. So to the evaluation of all those models, we did that using the C-Cobra framework, which has also been developed at the Cognitive Computation Lab. And the models are individually adapted as follows. We have first a training set, which is used to fit the model. Then we traverse the evaluation set, participant after participant. So after each item that we predict, we take the actual response and give it to the model, and the model can fit its prediction function to the actual response. So after each, and we do that for each item, and after each participant, we reset the value, the model parameters to their state after the initial training. So that way we fit to individuals, and the results are shown on this slide. The black models are benchmarks. We have a uniform model, which represents guessing, and we have an MFA model, which responds with the most frequent answer in the training set for each syllogism. So what we can see is that, also we have the dark gray bars, obviously, are our adaptive implementations. And we have, for comparison, we have also a set of static predictions from the literature in light gray. So what we can see when we compare light gray with the dark gray bars is that in almost all cases, the adaptive implementation improves performance, and it improves performance for each model that actually has parameters. So atmosphere and matching, for example, don't have parameters. And they are also the weakest models, as models which just use a simple heuristic that is not capable of predicting a lot of the data. And then we have a mid block with illicit conversion, psychop, and the classic mental models. And the best models are PHM, mReasoner, and verbal models. So what we can see is that we can explain much more of the experimental data when we consider individual adaptation. We have also seen that both heuristic models like PHM and model-based models like verbal models and also mReasoner as a mix between the two are able to explain a lot of the data. And also you could look at a benchmark that tells you how much structure there even is in the data. We couldn't obtain that for this evaluation, but there are results from Riesterer et al., which suggest that this theoretical upper bound lies at about 50% for this task. And when we have models above 40%, then we can say that these models are already pretty close to that theoretical upper bound. So we already have models that are pretty good. And we think that these results should inform which models are developed and evaluated further. So we need especially more broad evaluation of these models on different syllogistic tasks, on different psychological tasks altogether. Like, for example, also against aggregated data to better account for stochastic models, and also regarding psychological plausibility, because obviously these results only show how good the models perform against data and not how plausible their processes are, or the processes are that they propose. So our results are just one puzzle piece in this investigation. So thank you for your attention.